Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. Today we are going to apply some algebra to some geometry. If we recall, we have here, we're talking about a rectangle. If we recall from basic math, to find the perimeter of a rectangle, which is just the distance around the outside of the figure, you just take twice the length plus twice the width. Okay, and of course to find the area you just take the length times the width. So let's start here. Let's first find the perimeter. So the perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. Well, of course we'll have 2. Now what's the length? The length is 3 miles. 2 times 3 miles plus 2 times the width. Well, the width is 2 miles. So then what you would do, of course, do your multiplication first with each term. 2 times 3 is 6, so you'd have 6 miles. Plus, what is 2 times 2? Well, that's 4. So 6 miles plus 4 miles. So it looks like the perimeter is going to be 10 miles. The perimeter is equal to 10 miles. Now let's find the area. The area is equal to the length times the width. So the length of this is 3 miles. You would have 3 miles times the width of 2 miles. So then when you go to multiply 3 times 2, you'll get 6, and then miles times miles is, well, miles squared. So the area is going to be 6 square miles. Right, so this should be coming back to you about finding perimeters and areas of rectangles. Whoops, let's leave that formula up. There's a reason for it. There is a reason for it. Okay. What's the next figure here? We have a rectangle with length 12 feet and the width would be 5 feet. Okay. Well, let's start out by finding the perimeter, the distance around the outside of this rectangle. So the perimeter is going to be equal to twice the length, which would be 2 times the length, which is 12 feet, plus twice the width, which is 5 feet. Okay. So the perimeter would be equal to, of course, we have 2 times 12, that's 24 feet. Plus what is 2 times 5? That should be 10 feet. So your total perimeter is going to equal 24 plus 10, which would just be 34 feet. So the perimeter is 34 feet. Now let's find the area. Area equals length times width. The length is 12 feet. You would take that times the width, which is 5 feet. So then you just do 12 times 5, which is 60. And then feet times feet, that's feet squared. So the area is equal to 60 feet squared. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a review of how to find the perimeter and area of rectangles. Now we're about to shift this a little bit. We're about to manipulate these formulas. And I'll show you what I mean by manipulation here in a minute. Let's say you have a rectangle. They already give you the area. The area of the rectangle is going to be 270 centimeters squared. So the area of this rectangle is 270 centimeters squared. They give you the length being 15 centimeters. You don't know the width. Well, we remember, okay, we have the width here, which we don't know. We remember the area is the length times the width, right? What we know the area, we know the length, what we don't know is the width. In order to find the width, let me rewrite the formula. Area equals length times width. In order to find the width, the unknown, we can manipulate this formula. If we just want to get W by itself, the width, you have to divide by L. You have to divide both sides by L. So, of course, on the right side, the L's cancel out. You're left with the width, the W by itself. That's equal to the area over the length. If you want to find the width, then you just divide both sides by the length. You'll get the width is equal to the area over the length. Now we can plug this in real life here. So we have the width is equal to the area, which in this case is 270 centimeters squared, over that length, which is 15 centimeters. So the width, well, let's figure out what 270 divided by 15 is. $270 divided by 15, that's 18. So that would be 18. And then centimeters squared divided by centimeters, that's just centimeters. So your missing side, your width, is 18 centimeters. Okay? Now, let's say you found your missing side, your width, which would be 18 centimeters. Of course, what they want you to find the perimeter next. Once you found the width, they want you to find the perimeter. So the perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. So that'd be equal to 2 times the length, which is 15 centimeters, plus twice the width, which is 18 centimeters. So then you'll just be left with a multiplication problem to start with. The order of operations dictates the multiplication comes first. 2 times 15, that's 30 centimeters. Plus 2 times 18, that would be 36 centimeters. So your perimeter of this would equal 30 plus 36, which would be 66 centimeters. So first thing we did, we already knew the area of this and we knew the length. We did not know the width. So we derived the formula for the width by dividing both sides by the length. And what you got was the width is equal to the area over the length. Then we did the formula here. We used the formula for real. We had 270 centimeters squared for the area over the 15 centimeter length. You got a width of 18 centimeters. Then next, let's say they wanted you to find the perimeter once you knew the width. You would just take the perimeter formula, twice the length plus twice the width, and you end up getting 66 centimeters for the perimeter. So, I got more examples of this. Why do I keep erasing that? I want to leave the area formula up there. That's a very useful formula. Alright. Let's see here. This time you have a rectangle where the area is equal to 176 yards squared. So the area equals 176 yards squared. It looks like the width is going to be 16 yards. What you don't know is the length. You don't know the length though. So we have the area of this rectangle being 176 yards squared. The width is 16 yards. We don't know the length. No problem. If we remember, the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times the width. What we don't know is the length. We want to get the length by itself. So in order to get the length by itself, the L, we got to divide both sides by W. Well, when you divide the right side by W, the W's cancel out, so you're left with the length is equal to the area over the width. So the length equals the area of the rectangle over the width. So you see how I did that? The area equals length times width. I did not know the length, so I want to solve for the length. I got to get that L by itself, so I divide both sides by W. L just equals the area over the width. So that's how you can play with these formulas and manipulate them to find missing information you don't know. Okay, so now let's actually find the length of this rectangle. The length is equal to the area, which in this case is 176 square yards, over the width, which in this case is 16 yards. So the length is going to be equal to, let's figure out what is 176 divided by 16. That one I don't know off the top of my head. 176 divided by 16 is 11. So the length would be 11, then you have yards squared divided by yards, that would just be yards. So the length of this rectangle is in fact 11 yards. So we have solved and found our missing length, which would be 11 yards. Now they're going to ask you to find the perimeter of this rectangle. So the perimeter is equal to twice the length, which in this case worked out to be 11 yards, plus twice the width, which in this case the width is 16 yards. Alright. So now with the order of operations, you'll do your multiplication first. You have 2 times 11, well that's 22 yards. Plus 2 times 16, well that's going to be 32 yards. So the perimeter is equal to 22 plus 32. That would end up being 54. So the perimeter would end up being 54 yards. So once again, I solve initially to find the length formula. The length is equal to the area over the width. I plugged it into my length formula and have gained a length of 11 yards. Then I use that to find the perimeter, which ended up being 54 yards. Alright, there's more examples. There are more. Alright, we have a rectangle here. The area is equal to 154 inches squared. So we found the area, it's 154 inches squared. We got the length being 14 inches. What we don't know is the width. We do not know the width, okay? Remember, the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times the width. Well, we know the area, we know the length, what we don't know is the width. We do not know the width, so we want to be able to solve for the width. We want to get the W by itself. And well, we have LW. In order to do that, we have to divide by L. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. On the right side, the L's cancel out, so you'll get W, which is your width, is equal to capital A, your area, over your length. That's how you would solve for the width. So now we can apply this formula. Your width is equal to your area, which is 154 square inches, over the length, which is 14 inches. Why did I do that? Alright, now it's time to find 154 divided by 14, I think is 11, but let's be sure. It's going to be 11. Alright, so the width of this rectangle, the W, is equal to 11 inches because inches squared divided by inches is inches. So the width is going to be equal to 11 inches. Okay, so we found our width. Now let's find the perimeter of this rectangle. So the perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. So in this case, 2 times the length would be 2 times 14 inches, plus 2 times the width, which would be 11 inches, right? Okay, so now we have order of operations, 2 times 14, that's 28 inches, plus 2 times 11 inches, well, that's 22 inches. So the perimeter is equal to 28 plus 22, that'd be 50 inches. So the perimeter of this rectangle is in fact 50 inches. Alright. I got a few more problems here. I got one more where you know the area and got to find the perimeter. Then we're going to go in reverse. We will go in reverse here for a couple after that. Alright. Here's another rectangle. In this rectangle, the area is equal to 468 square feet. So they give you the area of the rectangle being 468 square feet. You don't know the length. They don't give you the length. You don't know the length, but the width is 12 feet. So the width of the rectangle is, let's write that over here. It looks too confusing next to the other numbers. Let's write that on the left-hand side. Alright, so you got the area of the rectangle being 468 square feet. You got the width being 12 feet. You don't have a clue what the length is. They don't tell you what the length is. Well, that's okay. We could solve for that. Remember, the area equals the length times the width. Well, we certainly know the area. We know the width because that's 12 feet. What we don't know is the length. So we want to get the length by itself, the L. We want to get the L by itself. Well, L's multiplied by W. In order to do that, you got to divide by W. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. On the right side, the W's will cancel out. You'll just be left with L. L is equal to A over W. So your length is equal to the area over the width. Now, we can go ahead and solve for this here. If we want to get the missing length, you'll take the area, which is 468 square feet, over the width, which is 12 feet. So the length, let's do 468 divided by 12. 468 divided by 12, that's 39. So you'd have 39 feet squared divided by feet, that's just feet. So your length would be 39 feet for this rectangle. Alright, so now you found your length, you found the missing side. Now we're going to find the perimeter. So the perimeter is equal to twice the length, which would be 2 times the length being 39 feet, plus 2 times the width. The width, well, that's 2 times 12 feet. Now you just follow the order of operations. Multiplication comes first. 2 times 39, that's 78 feet. Plus 2 times 12, that would just be 24 feet. So the perimeter would equal 78 plus 24. That would be 102 feet. So the perimeter of this rectangle is 102 feet. Okay, so now we're going to go in reverse a little bit. Let's go in reverse just a little bit here. Let's say you're given, they give you a rectangle. The perimeter, they tell you, is equal to 70 meters. They do in fact give you the perimeter. They give you the width being 11 meters. That you don't know the length though. They tell you P, the perimeter, is equal to 70 meters. The width is equal to 11 meters, but you don't know the length. Well, that's okay. Remember, the perimeter of a rectangle is twice the length plus twice the width. Alright? Well, we know the perimeter, we know the width, right? We don't know the length. So we want to get that 2L by itself in order to be able to solve for length. Well, we have the twice the length plus twice the width. In order to get twice the length by itself, that 2L, we need to subtract 2W. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So you'd have perimeter minus twice the width equal to twice the length plus twice the width minus twice the width. Alright, so twice the width minus twice the width, that's 0. You're left with 2 times the length by itself. Right? 2 times the length by itself. Now you would have that equal to the perimeter minus twice the width. Well, we have twice the length. We need to be able to solve for just the length. These basically have just become a two-step equation. We got the 2L by itself. Now we're about to get the L by itself. Well, we have 2 times L, so we need to divide both sides by 2. Well, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So the length is equal to the perimeter minus twice the width over 2. So again, I wrote down the formula, twice the length plus twice the width, that's equal to the perimeter, alright? Well, we knew the width, we know the perimeter, we want to get the length by itself. We want to be able to solve for the length. We have to be able to get that 2L by itself first. So in order to do that, I subtracted 2W from both sides, like you would in any two-step equation. And then I was left with twice the length was equal to, excuse me, twice the length is equal to the perimeter minus twice the width. Well, I want to get the length by itself, so I had to divide both sides by 2. So the length is equal to the perimeter minus twice the width all over 2. Now we can put this formula to work and solve for it. The length is equal to the perimeter, which is 70 meters. That'd be 70 meters minus 2 times your width, which would be 11 meters. That would be all over 2. Your length is going to be equal to, what's 7? You got 70 meters minus 2 times 11 minus 22 meters all over 2. Which is going to equal, what's 70 minus 22? That would be 48 meters over 2. So that tells you, if I'm going to move this up here, the length is equal to 48 divided by 2. That would be 24 meters. So the length, in fact, is equal to 24 meters. We got our missing side. We got our length, 24 meters. Now they're going to take a step further, ask you to find the area. The area, again, is equal to the length times the width, which is going to be equal to 24 meters times the width, which was 11 meters. So the area equals 24 times 11. Let's figure out what the heck is 24 times 11. 24 times 11, that's 264. Alright, so that would be 264, then meter times meter, that's meter squared. So the area is equal to 264 meters squared. Once you know your length, you can put that in and solve for the area. I got one more problem like it. I got another one just like it. Only with different values. Alright, what do we got here? We have a rectangle. They tell you the perimeter, they already give you the perimeter is equal to 24 meters. So the perimeter is 24 meters. They give you the length of 7 meters. You don't have a clue what the width is. So perimeter of the rectangle is 24 meters. The length is 7 meters. We don't have a clue what the width is though. Well, remember, to find the perimeter of a rectangle, it's going to be twice the length plus twice the width, right out the formula, right? Well, we know the perimeter, we know the length, we don't know what the width is. So the width is our unknown. We need to get that 2w by itself since we don't know what the width is. So in order to get the 2w by itself, we're going to have to do 2L plus 2W. Then we got to get rid of that 2L, so you'll do minus 2L. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So that you'd have P minus 2L on the left side. So on the right side, you'll have 2L minus 2L, which is 0. That just leaves 2W by itself, which is equal to P minus 2L. So twice the width is equal to the perimeter minus twice the length. Now the goal is we got twice the width. We're a little bit close to finding what the width is, but we have twice the width. We need to know what just the width is, just W. Well, we have 2 times W, so we need to divide both sides by 2. Alright? Well, on the left side, the 2's cancel out. You're just left with W for the width is equal to the perimeter minus twice the length over 2. So the width is equal to the perimeter minus twice the length over 2. Alright. So now we're going to find the width itself. The width is equal to the perimeter, which in this case was 24 meters, minus twice the length, which would be 2 times 7 meters. All that over 2. Which would equal, we do the order of operations first, you would do 2 times 7, so that'd be 24 meters minus 2 times 7, that'd be 14 meters, all over 2. So then you work in the numerator, 24 minus 14, that's 10 meters over 2. So that tells you that the width, let me move that up here, you have 10 meters over 2. That tells you that the width is going to be equal to 5 meters. So we just found our width. Right? We have just found our width of 5 meters. Now what you need to do, we're going to find the area. So the area equals length times width. Well, the length was 7 meters. The length was 7 meters. The width we just found is 5 meters. Okay? So the area is equal to, what's 7 times 5? That's 35. Meters times meters is meters squared. So the area would be 35 meters squared. So really, with these formulas, we were just dealing with rectangles today. We could have done it with triangles. We could have done it with circles, all kinds of stuff. But today we just dealt with rectangles. Basically, you want to be able to know your original formulas: the area equals the length times the width, or the perimeter equals twice the length plus twice the width. If you're able to figure out what information you're missing, such as the length or the width, you treat that like a variable, you isolate it by itself, and then you'll get the result of what the formula is to find you're missing. In this case, the width was equal to the perimeter minus twice the length all over 2. It's a matter of being able to treat whichever one of these is as a variable, just like you would in a two-step equation. So, next lesson won't be till Friday because I have some obligations tomorrow. I won't be able to teach tomorrow, but the next lesson we're going to work on is going to be powers and exponents. It'll be a bit of a review from basic math, but it definitely needs reviewing. So I hope everybody has a good night. Take care.